It's now time for Energy Insights, where you get an inside view and local perspectives of all the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley. This program is being brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association and can be heard every Saturday at 9 a.m. on local radio WMOA AM 1490 and ESPN radio WJAW FM 100.9 and AM 630. It's now time for the show. Here's Johnny Wharf, your local host.
Johnny Wharf on Energy Insights on a Saturday morning, brought to you each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. We're joined again by John Triplett, local lawyer and partner in the law firm Tyson Brock, and we talked a little bit in a previous show about the area and the importance of being embedded. And I tell my kids sometimes that, you don't understand, like we're walking across the Williamstown Bridge, that some kids never see a river like this. Some kids don't understand what it's like to be in a community like this, and you and I were talking, and we talked about some of these people maybe that have free gas, and free gas is just I got free gas. But can you imagine that maybe in another community?
Oh, it's amazing. When the shale boom started, I was at a conference out in New Mexico with some national corporations, and they were astonished at a lot of things as things moved east, so to speak. One was the irregular nature of the plots of ground that they had to lease, but the other was the landowners and how important free gas was to them. From their perspective, we're giving you a bunch of money, but one of the questions they always have is, am I still going to have my free gas? And as I travel around the country, I don't think we appreciate enough how nice or important it is that we actually have access to natural gas, not just for our industries. It's critical for industry, but for our homes. A substantial part of the country doesn't have access to natural gas. They have to heat with propane or fuel oil or electric. We have the luxury, and it truly is a luxury or blessing, of having natural gas. Now, and even if you don't sit on one of East Ohio's lines or a utility, you still have propane. There's a lot of people that their choices are propane or not gas. That's it. They have no choice.
From a legal aspect, and you mentioned that, or we talk about the boom and the bust, and you hear about it, and there's obviously different interpretations of, what was the boom and what was the bust, and where are we now and where are we headed. From a legal perspective, maybe talk a little bit about the boom of this industry and where all these, lawyers came from that we never heard of before, and are they still around, and was it good for them, or did you get any attrition from those that might have left?
Definitely attrition. Money attracts all sorts of things, including lawyers. And so in a boom, you will see typically the local lawyers, one way or the other, do well. Everyone does well. It's the rising tide lifts all boats. But then you see folks who aren't rooted in this area come in, and they'll come there because of money. One of the big places we saw, interestingly enough, was the, quote, landmen. A lot of the landmen that were in the the portable tables down at all the courthouses around here, and certain counties practically took them over. Many of those had law degrees. They were fresh out of school, and they needed jobs, and so their jobs was searching records. Then, as the industry wound down and as the land acquisition slowed and stopped, they were unemployed. And so they came in, they rented places. Typically they rented apartments at high rents month to month, and then when the work moved on, they moved on. Everyone thinks of the temporary nature of the industry as just the construction guys. It's not just the construction guys.
And so it's ultimately and historically it's cyclical like everything else.
Oh, absolutely. There have been a bunch of major regional and national law firms that have bunched up and branched out and sought to have offices all in the shale boom area, not just in Marietta, but in Akron and Canton and places that traditionally they didn't have offices.
All right. John Triplett is our guest here on Energy Insights. And again, we'll have him back on the program, brought to you each Saturday morning at 9 a.m. by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association.
Thank you for listening to Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. on WMOA and ESPN Radio WJAW as Johnny Wharf brings you your local and inside perspectives of the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley.